On this edition of SportsCenter, the Bruins say see you later to the only coach to do what the Wizard did for Westwood, as Jim Harrick now does something no other Bruin basketball coach has been accused of. Across the country at BC, Eagle players lose the bet that no one will find out. Fresh from the wonderment of the World Series, baseball is back to what it does best, tear itself apart, with the specter of starting a fourth straight season without an agreement. On a day it announces who is the best young player in the National League. In boxing, how come a retiree never retires?
Every day was a weekend for me. I could fish. I could go in and travel anywhere I wanted to. I didn't have a job. I didn't have to work. I almost died.
The forever fighting phenomenon for Foreman, Leonard, and the rest, plus a first look at Evander Holyfield's latest comeback against Mike Tyson, all ahead on SportsCenter.
Hello again, everyone. This is SportsCenter alongside Bob Lee. I'm Robin Roberts. You know, having three networks sure came in handy today to keep up with everything that's going on. We'll have the latest on the gambling allegations at Boston College in a moment. First, UCLA and a surprise firing.
Surprise, a massive understatement. Jim Harrick, 17 months ago, won the NCAA basketball championship. His team restoring the historical luster to the UCLA program. Today, Harrick was fired. The reason, the school says that Harrick lied about an expense report that did not list two of his players that attended a recruiting dinner in October. Harrick says his firing is the culmination of an 8-year philosophical difference with athletic director Peter Dallas, a man that Harrick told me earlier today, quote, has been after me for years. Harrick was replaced as head coach by assistant coach Steve Lavin, who is 32. He's in his 5th year with the program. Within the past hour, Jim Harrick spoke about his firing.
You've committed a violation, which is not true. There are no violations. And today they came out with the meal, which the meal was completely exonerated, and certainly my conduct probably needed improvement and my judgment. But to terminate you after building the program to where we are today, maybe one of the top 5 programs in the 90s, and walking in after practice, it's like getting hit in the head with a 2x4. Our staffs have worked unbelievably hard in 8 years to get us to this level. And to throw it all away on a meal, and I'm going to tell you, Fred, that's all there is a meal, then it's, to me, not right.
Jim Harrick had 4 years remaining on his contract. He told SportsCenter earlier today he was offered a 4-month settlement. He intends to wage a legal battle. SportsCenter's Mark Schwartz is in Los Angeles covering this developing story. He'll have a late report coming along in this hour. Robin?
Boston College has acted quickly since revealing over the weekend some of the school's football players may have been involved in gambling on games. Today, the university stated that indeed 2 BC players had bet against their team in an October 26th loss to Syracuse, and a total of 13 players were being suspended. Bonnie Bernstein joins us live from Chestnut Hill. Bonnie?
Well, Robin, it's been a very tense, tedious few days here at Boston College. The rumors of football players gambling really picked up momentum after they were upset by Pitt last Thursday. The rumors have ranged anywhere from 3 to upwards of 20 players who would be suspended. Now we finally know.
We are today going to suspend 13 of our football players from intercollegiate competition. Their names and their cases on a case-by-case basis will be submitted to the NCAA and will be reviewed carefully, and restoration of eligibility will be considered.
We have found is that on 2 instances, 2 players bet against Boston College. The game in question is the Syracuse game.
I will not, and the team will not, accept back to this program anybody that has bet against Boston College.
All right, here's your list of the 13 players. Running back Jamal Anderson, who hasn't played at all this year because of a knee injury. Cornerback Paul Carey. Defensive lineman Dan Collins. Starting tight end Scott Dragos. Kyle Gieselman, Brian May. Tight end Rob Tardio. Marcus Bembry. Defensive lineman John Coleman. Wideouts Chris Cosenza, Steve Everson, Brandon King, and linebacker Jermaine Monk.
Bonnie, I know you've been talking with a lot of people the last couple of days. Is this gambling problem limited to only the football program at BC?
Well, you know what? I asked Athletic Director Chet Gladchuck about that, and he referred me to Vice President of Student Affairs Kevin Duffy, who wasn't available, but he said it's nothing that he sees. However, we've been talking to a lot of students on campus, Robin, students and student athletes, and they have all told us that betting is very simple. In fact, one student said placing a bet is just one phone call away. Not only are there student bookies on campus, they tell us, but one student termed it as bookie representatives, basically students who will take your money and place a bet with an off-campus bookie. So although there's nothing definitive, you know, that's come up in this investigation, it does appear, based on the people that we talked to, that college gambling isn't exclusive to the football team.
Now, Bonnie, Dan Henning's job already appeared to be in jeopardy. A 4-5 record this year certainly didn't help. Has there been any talk about his future with the Eagles?
Well, the thing is, Henning's in his third year. It's not like all of a sudden his job's on the line because of this whole gambling situation. It's been in question all season, not only because the team hasn't lived up to what they were expecting from a record standpoint, but there's also been a quarterback controversy, things of that nature. He was asked about it in his daily press conference yesterday, and he said, hey, my job is not the issue right now. What we've been focusing on this week is the problem that has to do with the players on this team.
All right, Bonnie, thank you very much. And Bonnie Bernstein will join us later in the hour. She will have more on today's developments. Bob?
Lead story tonight on SportsCenter, UCLA's firing of head coach Jim Harrick from the basketball program. And Jim Harrick joins us live this evening from Los Angeles. Jim, question, did you misstate who was at that dinner on the expense report, and did you later mislead the administration?
Well, I did. I made some mistakes, but we got those worked out. To the best of my knowledge, I really believe that we got everything worked out, and I never thought the severity of it was certainly like that.
You told me earlier today the athletic director, Peter Dallas, was, quote, after me for years. Would you care to elaborate?
Well, I just think that that meant quite the support that you'd like to have, although we've had a very successful program, and I hope that he gets some of the credit, and certainly I do too, and our assistants and our players. So really, we've had a great program, so I can't say that.
I hold in my hand here the letter that your attorney has written to Peter Dallas, and it's a very lengthy legal letter. He's looking for a hearing. Do you have any realistic chance? Do you believe in your heart you can get your job back?
There's always some hope. We'd like to think that we could, at least for the rest of the year, to help our players, but I doubt it.
Do you think you were ever embraced in Westwood? I know certainly every coach, and you were the 5th in 13 years at the time you were hired, was following in the shadow of the great one, the Wizard, Mr. Wooden. Do you think you were ever embraced?
Oh, I think in Westwood and Los Angeles, yes. Maybe certain people in the department, no, but that would only be a few.
Have you talked to the players on the team?
Not yet. Not yet. We're trying to get that together tonight.
Do you think that'll be an emotional meeting?
Very, very much so.
What are you going to tell them?
I don't know yet.
It's going to be a tough meeting, though.
Yes, it will be. It's been a tough day.
Jim Harrick, thank you for joining us live from Los Angeles.
Okay. Thank you.
Robin?
There was little doubt who would be named American League Rookie of the Year, and on Monday, Yankee shortstop Derek Jeter was a unanimous selection, but it was anyone's guess who the award would go to in the National League. The past 4 years, the honor has gone to a Los Angeles Dodger. Would outfielder Todd Hollinsworth make it a record 5 consecutive NL Rookie of the Year awards for L.A.? Love you blue. Hollinsworth indeed continues the tradition, being named top freshman in the NL. After a slow start, he came on strong in the second half, finishing with a .291 average, 12 homers, and 59 RBIs. Now, Hollinsworth wasn't a unanimous choice, but I'm sure he'll take the award nonetheless. He received 15 first-place votes, 105 points. The Marlins' Edgar Renteria was second with 10 first-place votes. Jason Kendall got 1 first-place vote. Hollinsworth led all NL rookies in hits, doubles, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, and fewest errors committed this season. You see his numbers as compared to Renteria's. Hollinsworth is a Dodgers' 16th Rookie of the Year, twice as many as the next closest team, the Yankees.
Speaking of the Yankees, even with the memory of a scintillating World Series with a heartwarming storyline fresh in the national mind, Baseball today is returning to the muddy no-man's land of labor warfare. The owners are meeting at this hour in Chicago, and they may yet tonight effectively kill the prospect of interleague play for next year, and they could still also throw a lot of indecision into the free agent market as well, all if they reject the labor deal that their representative had negotiated with the players union. Carl Ravitch at those meetings right now, live in Chicago. Carl, what's happening?
Well, they're still meeting, Bob. In fact, 26 of the 28 owners are here. Bill Giles and Wayne Huizenga are not, though there are representatives from each of those teams. As far as the owners who are here, well, two different schools of thought. Jerry Reinsdorf arrived around 11:30 Eastern time and said the deal that Randy Levine struck with Don Fehr back on October 24th was a terrible deal. Then you had a guy like Jerry Colangelo. Of course, his interest so much involved with the Arizona Diamondbacks and making sure things are running smoothly. Well, Jerry Colangelo said a deal has to get done, and a deal has to get done now. As far as Randy Levine goes, well, he presented the deal that some owners claim they were in the dark as to the specifics of the deal. He presented that for about 2 hours, then he answered some questions, and then around 3 o'clock Eastern time, he was done. Very strange scene as we saw Randy Levine sitting outside the meeting room while the owners inside were discussing what to do. As for Levine, when he emerged from that meeting, well, he looked like a beaten man.
I made a presentation. There were a lot of questions that were answered, and now my job's finished. They're discussing things amongst themselves. The day is still ongoing. I have no idea what's going to happen. I came here to do my job. I've done it, and that's what we'll just wait and see what happens.
One person involved in the negotiations described the atmosphere inside that room, compared it to a civil war, which, as far as fans go, is not necessarily what they wanted to hear. Should there be a ceasefire? Should there be an accord? Should there be an agreement signed or an agreement vetoed? We'll, of course, have the details for you as they develop. Huh?
Carl, you've been covering the story very closely for months, as it's been going on for years, certainly. If it doesn't pass the contract tonight, A, do you think Randy Levine would resign? Secondly, do you think the owners understand truly in their hearts the public perception of this mess, and there's no other objective word for it?
I think to a certain degree they do, although Mr. Reinsdorf of the White Sox said, listen, this is a disagreement between now the owners and the players, and as long as the game is played on the field, then the fans are not necessarily harmed any more than they have been in the past. They just go into the status quo. As far as what Randy Levine told the owners, I'm sure he stressed to them that Don Fehr and the Players Association, there's no more juice left in that orange, that deal is as much as the players are going to give. And I think Randy Levine will tell the owners, should this thing get voted down, that they're making a fatal mistake, because this is as far as the players have ever gone before, and they may, in fact, sort of regress from where they have gotten so far, Bob.
I think of Mr. Berra. Deja vu all over again. Baseball still a labor mess. Thanks, Carl.
Sure. Still
ahead tonight as we approach Evander Holyfield's long-delayed fight with Mike Tyson. We look at the phenomenon of boxers who just don't know how to say goodbye to the ironically named sweet science.
I still can do it. I get up in the morning, I'm surprised myself. But I like this, and I want to do it until I decide I don't want to do it anymore.
Charlie Steiner reports on the lure of the ring, while the biggest names in the game retire, only to return again and again. Well, another day, another groin. Today, it belongs to Eric Lindros. He may have a timetable to finally start this hockey season. And who do you think is the top sports endorser? Dollars in Sports upcoming, and you're watching SportsCenter.
He looks for the caddy's help. The caddy doesn't know what to think. So, take your chances. Stop some. Upper practice swing. Yes. And he wins. The crowd goes crazy. Champion.
The first time we rounded up the usual suspects, we left out one crucial piece of evidence. The Usual Suspects, the film now out on bail for just $19.95.
Okay, so stereotype me. I'm all work and no play. Drive some kind of big, cushy sofa on wheels. And listen to big band. Right? Wrong. Because I do play hard. And I drive a Lincoln Town Car. Yeah, it's smooth, roomy, and comfortable. But it's also solid and responsive. It's almost like they had me in mind when they designed it. Now, as far as big band goes, okay, you got 1 out of 3.
From the beginning, Miller Genuine Draft is a beer unlike any other. uniquely cold filtered for maximum refreshment. Brewed with specially selected grains, the finest malted barley, and only the choicest hops the Northwest has to offer. Miller Genuine Draft. Always smooth, always refreshing, beginning to end. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Stay cool.
What do you get when you cross a high-quality conventional motor oil with an advanced formula synthetic? A revolutionary oil that protects better than regular oils, yet costs less than full synthetics. DuraBlend from Valvoline. Valvoline's the #1 choice of top mechanics.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Michael Jordan Cologne and by Office Depot, taking care of business for companies of every size, everywhere, every day.
Well, I know Bob wants to know, when would we see Eric Lindros on the ice this season? Let's pass the puck over to Gary Miller to see when the Flyers cap will be back on the ice.
Well, I'm sure we've all read this. ESPN's Hockey 96, the preview edition, found most of our NHL experts picking the Flyers to win the Stanley Cup. But of course, much of that is contingent upon the health of Eric Lindros, an outcome far more difficult to predict than the NHL champion. This has been the Flyer captain's uniform so far this season, but finally, Philly can forecast a return. Lindros plans to join the team tomorrow in Buffalo, start practicing shortly, and return to the ice for a home game 2 weeks later against the Penguins. Lindros continues to battle a groin injury, which has already cost him 15 games. Even if he returns on his timetable, he'll miss 6 more. Entering his 5th season, he averages missing a dozen games. The Flyers win 41% of the time without him, 58% with him. Kenny Rogers would not have been on the Yankees World Series roster if not for the rainout of Game 1, forcing Joe Torre to go with a 4-man rotation. He had performed so miserably against the Rangers and Orioles, the Yankees were afraid his tender arm made him unusable against Atlanta. But if Rogers hadn't given up 6 runs, New York couldn't have produced such an astonishing comeback in Game 4, which they rode the emotion of to a world title. Tuesday, Dr. James Andrews removed bone spurs from Rogers' elbow, also operated arthroscopically on his shoulder. He should be ready for spring training. We're back on SportsCenter for 90 seconds. Still ahead for you, the never-ending comebacks of boxing's biggest names, including Sugar Ray's recent decision to return to the ring, and a fighter's return for dollars. Chris Webber may be reversing that trend when it comes to walking in his shoes.
Honey, I've been thinking. You're right.
Yeah?
We should get a brand new Mitsubishi big screen TV at Gabowitz. We wouldn't have to pay anything down, no interest, no monthly payments till January of '98. You're so good with numbers.
Well.
Let's do it.
Yeah! Yeah!
Nuts. Your dream awaits at Gabowitz in East Brunswick.
It all comes down to this, folks. Bottom of the ninth, 2 out, bases loaded, kids on top by a run. Joey on the mound, Sluggo in bat, full count. Sluggo takes into the box. Joey looks for the catcher's signal. He shakes him off. The tension is unbelievable. Now he's ready. Here's the windup.
The World Series, as you've always pictured it, delivered by your #1 sports source.
Strike 3. It's all over. The kids win the series. Joey is bobbed to the mound. This place is bedlam.
The idea of a 24-hour sports news network was actually mine.
I thought breaking news...
Extended highlights, scores anytime.
It's a winning idea.
So I told my girlfriend. So I told my neighbor. So I told my garbage man about it. He thought it was a great idea.
You know, I've got a lot of ideas. I'm pretty bright.
Of course, now that it's on the air,
Everybody's taking credit.
It's my idea.
it was actually my idea.
Mine. This is all me. This is my idea.
It came to me on the toilet.
You know, it's kind of pathetic the way other people are trying to take credit for this.
Snow is falling, women are watching, unrelated stories, as well as Chris Webber leaving Nike. All tonight on Dollars and Sports. Sanders and Dennis Rodman are first-timers on a new list of the top 10 athlete endorsers put out by Video Storyboards. Names from last year's list who didn't make it this time around: Bo Jackson and Joe Namath. A pizza chain that Rodman is pitching says that company's revenues have increased 20% since the Bulls' bad boy began endorsing it. But Rodman's teammate Michael Jordan is still the king of all endorsements, #1 on that list. Women are getting more involved watching and playing football. An ESPN Children's Sports Poll says that the NFL is the favorite among women. 43% of the NFL's fan base is female. And last season, 791 high school girls participated on high school football teams. That is an all-time high. Last year, Kendra Wecker became the first girl to reach the finals of the punt, pass, and kick competition. And last month, the Jets and the Chargers held Football 101 classes for women, explaining the rules of the game from the elementary to the advanced, and the sessions were all free. The ski season is underway, but the ski resort business is consolidating. It is getting much more expensive to run a resort. The number of skiers has rarely changed over the years, but the numbers of resorts are dropping. 735 back in '83, only 524 this year. 300 of those resorts have snowmaking capability. Including labor and power, an average resort spends over $1 million a year to make snow.
We're trading the best ideas among ourselves, and it's really given the whole industry, our portion of the industry, a big uplift.
But a bigger pie exists for those resorts that can compete by going for a younger crowd. Snowboarding parks, jumps and pipes, and high-speed detachable quad chairs now exist at some resorts like Breckenridge, Mammoth Mountain, and Waterville Valley. Our Dollars in Sports number of the week, 140. That's the price in dollars, $140 of Chris Webber's Sea-Web shoe. Webber asked Nike to lower the price. Nike said no thank you. Webber refused to renew his Nike deal. The Bullets forward is concerned that his shoe is marketed to inner-city kids and might create jealousy and possibly violence between those who have the sneakers and those who can't afford them. Still ahead tonight. Where's the band? Commander Evander approaching Team Tyson, and that man, Bobby Witt, makes a decision about his own labor contract. I knew the band would be here. You'll be back here, too, when we come back in a moment.
Dollars and Sports is brought to you by Office Depot, taking care of business for companies of every size, everywhere, every day.
This is my idea.
This is my dream.
In the last 10 years, over 6 million people have taken the bull by the horn.
This is my chance.
This is my bread. And blazed their own trail.
This is my life.
It's hard to say where they found their courage, but chances are they found their supplies at Office Depot. Since 1986, we've helped businesses succeed with everything from Uniball Vision rollerball pens from Sanford to brightly colored 3M Post-it notes, all at the best prices, guaranteed. Office Depot.
This is where I take care of business.
I think a Walmart MasterCard sounds fantastic.
Walmart has a credit card? Absolutely. We've done the Walmart card the Walmart way.
It's just a credit card with low interest. It's simple.
A fixed low interest rate is perfect.
It's a Walmart card, but you can use it wherever they take MasterCard.
You can't always pay it off at the end of the month, so of course, low interest rate helps enormously.
We've always tried to save people money, and this is just one more way to do it.
Call 1-800-858-3100 for your no annual fee Walmart MasterCard from Chase.
I'm so surprised that we didn't offer this card years ago. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
The Pontiac Firebird waits. 305 horsepower comes to life. Ram air induction turns air into fuel in a rush. Firebird, you're ready to fly.
This is the Pentium processor inside the PC that runs the CD-ROM that lets you plan a vacation by taking a virtual tour. And since it is a connected CD-ROM, it hooks to a related website through your PC's internet link. So you can go online to book a hotel, which makes you happy that you have a Pentium processor.
Penny, the man in Orlando, Barkley's new situation. Stories all developing, and we'll have it the opening weekend on ESPN's Outside the Lines tip-off at 50, right after SportsCenter.
Bobby Witt has decided to exercise a $2 million option to return to the Rangers next season. Originally, he sought a contract extension, but instead will test the free agent market after next season. The 32-year-old was 16-12 with a 5.41 ERA last year.
If Larry Holmes had his way, the next big bout would be the Geezers at Caesars. The 46-year-old former champ taking on George Foreman. He claimed in June, with his wife at his side at a bout in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, that this was finally his third and final retirement. His 70th fight, Father's Day, which is also Grandfather's Day. Perfect symmetry. But as Diane Holmes says, I've been hearing that for 15 years. One more, just one more. And of course, Holmes wants to fight again. And he's got plenty of company, including former champs who have been told by doctors to stay away. Charlie Starner looks into why a retirement is more of a promotional device than a life change in the unique world of boxing.
3 years ago, Ray Leonard was living the good life. Retirement was agreeing with him, and the thought of ever fighting again wasn't even up for discussion.
That would totally jeopardize and totally diminish the person that I am now, what I stand for. There's not a stimulus that could bring me back anymore. I mean, it's time to move on. I said that. That's my quote. But the way the world has changed, my thoughts have changed too. My position has changed too. Camacho called the right time. He called when I needed a vehicle to kick this foundation off. And then I got excited as a fighter, because that's what I am.
Please welcome the one, the only big George Foreman.
Now, the 40-year-old Leonard is merely the latest in an increasingly long line of fighters well past their prime in hopes of heading back to the future. Leonard's hook in his latest comeback is to raise money for charity, just as Tommy Morrison claims. Larry Holmes, coming back yet again, is fighting to raise money for Larry Holmes.
Come on, baby. Come on. Come on.
Evander Holyfield, worth tens of millions of dollars and stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson on Saturday night, isn't doing it for the money, although he will make $10 million. He just can't give it up.
You're just hoping when that time hits you that you'll be man enough to just say, hey, that's it. I'm out of here. You know, it may be a day that you be at the gym just working out and say, I'm tired of this. And just be happy and go on a vacation and say, hey, it's time to really live now.
You know, you come to New York City and boy, the best sandwich smells in the world exists here. There's nothing like it. I love it.
George Foreman is still fighting at 47. After 10 years of retirement that didn't sit well with him.
You're wonderful. Let me give you a hug. Who's that good-looking guy you got with you?
My husband.
All right, take it. 1977, I quit boxing. I had millions of dollars. I could get up. I didn't know the difference between Monday and Saturday or Sunday. Every day was a weekend for me. I could fish. I could go in and travel anywhere I wanted to. I didn't have a job. I didn't have to work. And I almost died. The worst thing that can happen to a human being is not have a reason to get up and go to work. I would never like to be in that position again. I like working. I love it. I don't want to lose it. I'm scared of it.
Fighters who've reached the levels of Holyfield, Foreman, and Leonard have reached a pinnacle. They've been to a place in a totally individual sport that we can never truly understand. Their unspoken fear is that they can never recapture that waterfall of adrenaline in their civilian life that they can in the ring, even if they aren't anywhere near the fighters they once were.
When I beat Marvin Hagler, no greater feeling. Words cannot describe incredibly on top of the world for that moment.
Ironically, Ray Leonard is fighting again, but it is Marvin Hagler who steadfastly refused to even think about a comeback.
I feel that the hardest part is to stay away from it. I think it becomes like a drug. It's in your system.
It's not an addiction to me. I mean, I see an opportunity. I see a way that can make a difference. I miss making a difference, making an impact. So I can say that I do miss that, because when I would fight, I did make a difference.
I've never had an opportunity to do what I want. You gotta do what you want before you leave this thing. I like boxing. I can't help it if I'm 50 years old and I still can do it. I get up in the morning and I'm surprised myself. But I like this, and I want to do it until I decide I don't want to do it anymore.
I understand now how guys like George Foreman and Leonard, how they must feel after boxing. You know, what is there? I feel that it's a love that will never die.
Later in the show, more on Evander Holyfield's comeback against a man who can make even the youngest of challengers contemplate retirement. Mike Tyson. Charlie brings us the latest from Las Vegas. Right now, more with Bob, a review of a day of many top stories. Bob?
That's right, Gary. A day full of sports news, a cascade of news, the likes of which we see very rarely altogether. A day full of lead stories. UCLA firing head basketball coach Jim Harrick 17 months after his national championship night. The issue, according to the school, an expense report he lied about. 13 Boston College football players suspended today for placing sports bets. 2 of those 13 are believed to have bet against the BC Eagles, that according to the DA. In Chicago, Major League Baseball owners continuing to caucus, preparing to vote on a labor deal with the players. The contract is not expected to have enough support to pass tonight. National League Rookie of the Year, Todd Hollingsworth of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now back to page 1 tonight, Jim Harrick at UCLA. He was told yesterday he could choose to either resign or be fired. He was fired today. His friction with his boss was an open secret in college basketball, but UCLA today cited specific misconduct when the school fired the only coach to win a national championship there since John Wooden retired. Mark Schwartz reports.
Jim Harrick led UCLA to 8 consecutive 20-win seasons and a national championship. But his 8-year reign will end because of misrepresentations on an expense report from a recruiting dinner on October 11th. Now, allegedly, there were 5 UCLA student athletes and 3 prospective recruits at the dinner that night. That is 2 more UCLA student athletes than the NCAA would allow. What sunk Harrick is misrepresenting the 2 extras as guests. He went on to ask another member of the basketball program to misrepresent the facts. Only later did Harrick admit that he misled the university.
Do you feel that this was part of a pattern of any unethical conduct by Jim Harrick and that you finally terminated that pattern?
No, I do not feel there was a pattern.
In his 8 years, was this the only ethical violation that you found?
It's the only ethical violation we found, but a very, very serious one.
UCLA Chancellor Charles Young compared Harrick's attempt at a cover-up to Watergate and said the university could well face NCAA sanctions as a result of his actions.
I have never had to take any action that I have found personally as difficult for me to take as this action.
Harrick says he's never cheated and told ESPN, quote, he won't be humiliated by $1 million corporation and $1 billion school, unquote. He says the termination is a result of philosophical differences with athletic director Pete Dallas, who he says, quote, has been after me for years.
I don't agree with that. I was the one that extended Jim's contract to very favorable terms after he won the national championship, in fact, more favorable than the previous agreement that he had.
Harrick's abrupt dismissal jolted UCLA players, and senior Charles O'Bannon believes the punishment far outweighs the crime.
I don't think his whole life should have been changed for infraction as small as this.
The fact that he misrepresented the facts when asked about who was there that night and put down different names, and then when questioned said, no, that's not who was there. Is that the kind of person that you feel can be the leader of a college basketball program?
Absolutely. He's led us to a national championship, a couple Pac-10 titles. He's been a father figure.
Harrick's interim replacement will be 32-year-old assistant Steve Lavin, whose contract has been extended and enlarged by the university, whether or not he retains the job on a full-time basis. Reporting from Westwood, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Earlier this evening on SportsCenter, we spoke live with Jim Harrick, who did say that, yes, there was a misrepresentation on that expense report and later to the administration, but he thought he had put the problem behind him and that there were no NCAA violations in his 8-year tenure with the UCLA Bruins. We will still have much more on the story coming up tonight. Our cover story will examine Harrick's career. A man tonight fired from one of the premier jobs of all of sports. We're back in 90 seconds. Start the clock. NFL News is knocking. Michael Irvin and Dallas cannot afford to get down. The Niners are coming up next. He's up for that. But how about Terry Bowden for the NFL? A team from his territory would love to entice him into becoming a pro.
You know, I have been trying to explain this new AT&T one-rate plan.
Hey, I am tired of all these little phone companies, people you never heard of.
No, this is AT&T.
They say big discounts, but who can tell with all the restrictions?
No restrictions. Calls from home, a one low rate, all the time.
Yeah, but only to certain people or certain times.
No, 15 cents a minute to anybody in America, anytime.
And I get this from AT&T?
Yes.
I don't know.
I thought I was doing so well.
No restrictions, no games. The AT&T one-rate plan.
Call it strength.
One of the world's largest insurance and investment groups.
Call it trust.
$300 billion in assets under management.
Call it global.
56,000 people working hands-on in 23 countries.
Call it vision.
Give clients an even better chance in a changing world.
Call it AXA. Here you know us as the Equitable. AXA. Go ahead. You can rely on us.
ESPN asked me to say a few words about their ESPN Bud Light Big Monday promo, but since it ain't in my contract, I'll let the cat with the monster truck voice clue you in.
Go to a participating Bud Light retailer and pick up an entry form and schedule. Select your weekly Big Monday winners. Mail them in. If you're the lucky bum whose entry is drawn and all your picks are correct, you win a free trip to the championship week game of your choice. Otherwise, you get a bunch of ESPN Bud Light merchandise.
It ain't bingo, baby.
How about them Cowboys? The Wyoming Cowboys, that is. Tomorrow night here on ESPN, the number 16 college football team in the land can move closer to the WAC title with a win over San Diego State. Look for a lot of scoring in this one. Game time right after the weekend kickoff show with Chris, Coach, and Kirk. Could Terry Bowden be the next coach of the New Orleans Saints? The current coach of the Auburn Tigers says he has no interest in the NFL whatsoever. Saints owner Tom Benson said the search for Jim Mora's replacement in New Orleans would not begin for at least 30 days. Several times, Bowden has expressed a desire to coach at Auburn for a very long time. He won his first 20 games with the Tigers on probation. Since then, he's gone 14-7-1.
A grand jury today charged 7 Virginia Tech football players with beating a member of the school's track team. Among those charged, All-America Cornell Brown and the starting fullback for the team, Brian Edmonds. Another player, Brad Baylor, was charged in connection with a separate incident. He was indicted on a charge of abduction involving holding a student against his will. Still ahead, we've got tonight's cover story. Jim Harrick's career at the peak of his profession less than a year and a half ago, raising that trophy. He is fired tonight over what the school says was unethical conduct. And when we continue, Troy Aikman, what kind of a day he had today, preparing for the 49ers and hoping to throw everything on target this time around. We continue to remind you, you're watching SportsCenter.